right, welcome to tonight's episode. It's a little bit late. I've had a long day and just wanted to talk about an interesting experience that I had. I had worked with a developer of a particular, it's like a Google Docs script. It's called Advanced Find and Replace. And the cool thing that Advanced Find and Replace allows is that it takes a full stop and then it can add 2 new lines. And so where there's a block of text, it allows me to split that out and make it much more readable for editing. And I reached out to the developer and I was like, hey, can you do this on bulk so that I don't have to log into every Google Doc, but if I've got 7 Google Docs sitting there, that somehow this could just happen. He's like, yeah, no worries at all. What I'll do is I'll set up a spreadsheet that runs a script and it runs through and takes every full stop, turns it into a full stop with 2 lines. And I was like, man, this is so cool. This is awesome. This is extremely useful. It just increases readability so much, and not having to log into all of those documents, instead just log in the spreadsheet, hit click, and it does it automatically. It's a really cool program. However, I ran into an issue, and that was that when I edit and put in 3 full stops, believe it's called an ellipsis, that the program can't differentiate between 3 full stops in a row and just 1 full stop. And so it takes, for whatever reason, it takes the last full stop and turns it into 2 lines or 1 line. It doesn't work. And I was like, man, this is no good. I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this. So I reach out to the developer and say, hey, is there a way to make this happen that it excludes the 3 dots, the ellipsis? And he comes back and says, yeah, of course. What you do is you run 3 lines instead of 1. The first replacement is to take the 3 dots and make it into a nonsensical string, like 6 C's in a row. And I was like, okay. Then run the dot thing so that it adds all the lines, and then take the nonsensical 6 C's and turn them back into 3 dots. And I was like, oh, wow, that is so obvious. That is so clear. That works. But what I came to was that for me to get to that answer, it would have taken a lot of work. If I got to it at all. Like, it could have been that I just had to accept that I would go in and have to edit all of these documents and look for where the 3 dots are. But that kind of destroys the purpose of having an automated system that does all the work for me. It's like, hey, if I can't have a way of excluding things that I don't want included in a system, then it kind of forces me to do the work anyway. I'm like, this is not much good. But what I took from this was that this is a useful trick. This may show up in other areas, in other systems where I want everything except for that. And this substitution tweak could be used in that situation, as well as this particular version of it that showed up today. What I took from all of this was that often it's obvious after the answer appears. And I believe that there's one company that has made this their master skill, and that is Apple. The amount of time that goes in, I think thousands of people working thousands of hours to make a seamless experience where you just do things and they happen as you'd expect. Like, someone put a lot of effort into this, and you're like, oh, that didn't seem that special. But if you knew how much work it took, then perhaps you would be more respectful. And it's like, wow, this is an amazing piece of technology. What a gift. What an amazing miracle world that we live in, that we can have these devices. Yes, they have downsides, of course, very addictive, but their potential for creativity, for living an amazing life that just was not possible going back to the 70s or the 80s. But now, with skills about how I use the phone, that is actually an amazing boon. We're essentially living in a science fiction world to a degree. Like, you go back far enough and they have video communicators. Guess what? We all, not all of us, I presume some people either refuse to or don't want to or can't afford, whatever. But many, many, many people, most of the world now has technology that is straight out of science fiction. Let's come back to that insight though, that what is obvious in the answer is very difficult before you have the answer. And this was very much my experience with this systems and processes thing. Like I had about a 6 to 8 week period where all I was working on essentially was this problem. How do systems and processes work together to actually work? And I was doing like 14-hour days. I was skipping sleep, and I was just having this very high level experience where insights would come and I'd have to change a whole bunch of stuff to make things work. I remember when I needed to move marketing to number one, and I fought with myself for about 2 days because of the amount of work. It basically meant that I had to move marketing from 2 to 1, and then advertising from 1 to 3, and sales from 3 to 2. But I did that because it just made so much more sense to have marketing first, where I've got my messaging and my offers and my avatars all done, and then moving into my funnels with sales. And then finally, when I've got my messaging and my sales funnels done, then working on the advertising, once again, utilizing that marketing experience. But the first time I had it set up, I didn't have that. I had advertising 1, and then marketing 2, and then sales 3. And to change all of the numbers was a huge amount of work. And I was just like, I hope this is worth it. But when I did it, and suddenly it was like, oh, this is great. This flow feels right. And I get that it's totally semantic, like whether advertising is one or marketing one or sales is one doesn't really matter. But for some reason, it just opened up a flow that felt natural. And the work that went into all of the fine detail of going and looking for these numbers all through the documents that I'd set up was worth it. If this is a problem that you would like to skip this 6 to 8 week period of hard work, and that is, again, just like me and the ellipsis, assuming that even if you put that time in that you would work it out. If you'd like to just skip that, then I invite you to enter into conversation over at systemio.dev. Head over to that page, www.systemio.dev, pop in your name, your email address, and enter into a training that I put together for you. Thanks so much for tuning into today's episode. Look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode as we continue this exploration of systems and processes. See you then.